Something interesting about playing a game as old as RuneScape is the vast amount of content produced over the years. Whether it be items, NPCs, or areas, over the time, Jagex mods have blessed us with new and exhilarating content, which sparked that exciting fire of exploration. But not all content can stay in the spotlight. Sometimes new content comes out which makes the old stuff redundant, destined to sit there on the map empty and forgotten. Or maybe the area was never busy to begin with. Like this fishing village you might not know exists. Most of you are no doubt familiar with Wintertodt, but what about this tiny little village just east of the fire-making boss? There's nothing really here besides destroyed houses. Skeletons can be found all over the place, with barrels of fish guts and a Fremenic boat, which can't be boarded. There's also a weird shell surrounded by candles. There's only one sign of life who is named Rakar. When you talk to him, he speaks gibberish, and is just holding a box of fish food, which I'm guessing is how he's staying alive. Next up we have the Myths Guild Library. Many of you have no doubt been to the Myths Guild, but how many of you have actually been upstairs to the library? Found in the northwest corner of the guild, there is nothing up there except for 5 books and 1 scroll available for you to read. The room is pretty cramped, and with nothing else available here, I can't see why anyone would actually visit this place. Just downstairs you can find an NPC named Lutwidge, who tells you about his adventure killing a beast called the Moonfly. Now if you bring him the scroll from upstairs, which is actually a poem about his battle with the Moonfly, he will correct some of the inaccuracies within the poem. But besides that, there's pretty much nothing here. Now this place must be one of the most empty and isolated locations in Old School RuneScape. We have all risked our lives running through the wilderness, but how many of you have actually ventured to this extremely isolated portion in the far southeastern corner? I honestly never thought about visiting this area until I saw a Reddit post about it recently. There is nothing here, but you can see the Slayer Tower in Mauritania and a few other places around it. I can't imagine anyone would have any reason to be here unless it was for something that would be breaking the game rules, or maybe drop trading from like an Iron Man. Another area I think barely anyone has seen is just west of Camelot and Seers Village. During the quest to the Holy Grail, you visit someone called Brother Galahad. This NPC was formerly a knight of King Arthur's Round Table, and one of the 3 achievers of the Holy Grail. But anyone who has completed the quest would probably know he now lives in this little house. While many players have been in the house, how many have actually gone upstairs? I doubt many. Up here you can find a few shelves and a stepladder, also a table and some chairs, but nothing really else. Still, I love finding places like this, places that many players have been so close to but never actually seen. Like this gate just south of Barrows. I know, it's just a gate, but how many of you have actually walked in this area? I really doubt you have, but let me know. But now to something more exciting than just an old smelly gate. What about this epic area just north of Prifddinas? If you survive the treacherous journey passing by direwolves and a black dragon, you'll end up at the top of this strange mountain. The wolves, the dragon, the adventurer Ed, and the throne with the dragon eggs by its side all seem to hint at a very famous film franchise, Game of Thrones. I believe a shooting star can spawn up here, but besides that I can't think of many reasons why you would actually be up here, unless you're just checking out the awesome view. And speaking of awesome views, north of Relica and west of the Mammoth Trollweiss Mountain, you can find the Polar Hunter area. Walking around this place you'll find an array of different polar hunter animals, which unfortunately don't really see any use since other hunter methods are simply better. Well, unfortunate for us, I'm sure they're pretty stoked about it. If you venture to the northeast part of this hunter area, you'll find a cave which has 2 eagles in it. Some of you probably know what this is. For those of you who don't, this is one of the coolest travel methods in the game, the Eagle Transport System. And luckily, it'll take us to our next location, which is the desert. If you get yourself to the far northwest corner of the desert, next to Menaphos, you'll end up in this extremely dead piece of land. There's almost nothing here to engage with, besides a few goats. And an interesting thing about this spot is you can look over at the edge of the world, which is usually black, but blue for me since I have the skybox enabled. This spot is one of the only areas in the Old School RuneScape map that still has a blacked out empty area, which makes me wonder what they've got planned for it. Not as much as I've been wondering about this next one. Now, we've all been to Port Serim, but be honest with me, have you ever hopped aboard one of the boats boats and explored it, I think most players would have never actually gone upstairs or downstairs on any of these boats. And I don't blame them. There's nothing really to see here besides a wheel and some strange looking cannons, but still, it's certainly a piece of content that most players probably haven't engaged with. Unless you need to go here for a quest and I've just forgotten, let me know if I'm wrong. And now for one of the most dead pieces of content in the entire game. So dead, it doesn't even show up on the Old School RuneScape surface map, that being Brain Death Island. The player travels to this location during the Rum Deal quest, and can only be accessed by talking to Pirate Pete, found north of Port Phantasmus, once you've started the quest. Now that you're here, all you can really see is a brewery, and a large amount of zombie protesters. You can also find fever spiders here, but the most interesting part of the island, in my opinion, is the northern side. To get there, you'll need to talk to this very strange looking NPC called 50% Luke. After distracting him, you'll pass through this gate and make your way to this area. Even the map, which is revealed once you travel to the island, says nothing interesting happens here, and once you reach the top of the mountain, you just find a stagnant water source. Very engaging indeed. If you can think of a more useless and dead piece of content in the game, let me know, and maybe I'll explore it in a future video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Okay, bye.